Hi, everyone. I'm here with the Senior Vice President of Cox Automotive Dealer and Lender Solutions, Tracy Fred. Today in the driver's seat, we're diving into one of the most talked about topics in the industry, artificial intelligence. Tracy, you're close to this in your role, driving efficiency, profitability, and customer loyalty for dealers, lenders, and OEMs at Cox Automotive. So I'm excited to hear more. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome back to the show, Tracy.
Thanks for having me, Emma. I can't believe it's been about a year since we did this last, and here we are again talking about AI.
I know. It's wild. The year has flown by. So much has changed in just 12 months. Let's start there. What's new in the world of AI and automotive retail since we last spoke?
I feel like so much has changed and is continuing to change so quickly. I feel like when we talked about this last year, dealers were just starting to take AI from theory into practice. And now what we see is AI is becoming a real competitive advantage for dealers who are using it. And I think when you ask what's new is how much smarter the tools have become, how much more integrated they are. And that's why we at Cox Automotive have been really hard at work embedding AI into the most important dealer workflows, so sales, service, vehicle acquisition, marketing, because the way that we're thinking about this is AI isn't just a shiny object, it's something that needs to be embedded into the workflows to help drive meaningful outcomes for dealers.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. And it really looks like AI has hit the dealership floor for real. And I want to talk about that shift. What does it look like when AI is actually helping dealers sell smarter?
What it looks like to me is focus. AI helps dealership teams spend more time on activities that actually drive ROI and less time on activities that really don't. You and I have been in this business for a long time, and we've heard dealers say things like their sales team spend hours and hours crafting emails, or a lot of the folks on their teams have to spend time on a lot of repetitive tasks that at the end of the day don't always translate into meaningful results. And the reality is that AI can really change that equation. So when you think about tools like VIN Solutions, CRM with predictive insights and Gen AI, or even our F&I intelligence and automation that's built into our Deals Central capability, what we're really doing there is helping dealers shift the efforts that they make towards high impact activities like actually engaging with customers to choose the right car or structure the right payment. And I think there's a lot of fear with AI because people think that the goal is to replace people, but it's not actually leveraged to replace people. I instead think about it as something that empowers our teams. We have someone on our team who likes to say that AI should make your team sharper, not smaller. And so when you think about things like automation paired with predictive insights, you give your team the ability to act smarter and faster in terms of how they engage in their activities every single day.
Yeah, it is a huge shift. And, in a way, it's making everyone more productive. The communication to shoppers is more valuable, and generating those continuous lines of communication is easier. Tracy, when we spoke last year, we talked a lot about automation. It sounds like that's gotten even more advanced, and now AI is driving even greater efficiency. How else is AI helping dealers?
It's really helping in two big ways. It's enabling better marketing engagement and better deal making. And so when you think about how AI is able to help dealers personalize how they communicate with shoppers, we can pull that thread from starting with how they attract interest in the first place, continuing all the way through closing the deal. And so I mentioned marketing and better deal making. So on the marketing front, AI helps dealers move beyond those generic templates that they've used for years and years and years into messages that will actually land with consumers. And so what I mean by that is instead of spending hours crafting emails and guessing at what might get a shopper's attention, Gen AI tools in our CRM and in our marketing platform leverage data from two really powerful sources. The first is real-time first-party shopper data from AutoTrader, Kelley Blue Book, and Dealer.com, and then we pair that with customer history from the engagement that the customer has had with your dealership that's in your CRM. So you're not just sending a message and sending a template, but you're actually sending the right message based on what the customer is doing in real time and how they've actually interacted with you. And you can do all of this in seconds. And what we've seen is that dealers that are using these tools are seeing a 26% higher conversion rate from leads to scheduled appointments. So we know that this is working.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised that the conversion rate is so much better because, how often do we actually get messages that are, that well worded and that, excuse me, that really understand what we're looking for. So, once that shopper is engaged, how does AI help dealers move the conversation forward and make the deal?
So we help in this area with predictive insights and F&I automation. So if I start with insights, Vin Solutions can pinpoint when a shopper is ready to buy, 8 times more likely to buy than any other lead source. We know their actual price range, we know what vehicles they're cross-shopping, and that is really powerful information because what it means is that a salesperson isn't just working off of a lead form, they're working with real signals that help them personalize the deal in real time. And then I also mentioned F&I automation. On the F&I front, we know that F&I managers spend a lot of time populating forms, prepping paperwork, doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes so that they can actually engage with the customer. And so with the automation that we've built into our tools, we're cutting down all of that manual work so that the F&I manager can actually spend more time doing what really matters, which is engaging with the customer to help them make a smart financing choice. And when you think about these things, we've talked a little bit about efficiency, which this drives, but it also is a driver of experience. So these tools help dealer teams move the customer through the process in a smarter, more personalized, faster way. And when you reduce that friction in the process, you're not just making things easier and more efficient for your team. You're actually giving the customer a better experience. And as we know, Emma, customer experience is what drives satisfaction, which ultimately drives loyalty, keeps the customer coming back to your dealership for service, and ultimately the next sale. So all of this is just really so important and impactful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially when you talk about the difference it's going to make with F&I. I'm sure you talk to business managers all the time. They often get bogged down, and yet that is often where the deal is really, finished. And I just think that's a game changer for them if there is so much time that they're going to get back. You mentioned data, another hot topic. AI thrives on data. What should dealers be thinking about when it comes to data and AI?
As a dealer, I would ask myself 3 questions. I would ask myself, where is my data coming from? Is it current and is it actionable? Because as you just mentioned, Emma, your AI is only as good as the data that feeds it. And that's why our first party data at Cox Automotive is such a strategic advantage when paired with the data dealers already have on their customers. You've heard us talk about our data before. At Cox Automotive. We're working with insights from 82 million active car shoppers, 20 million vehicles every week. The scale and quality of that data is what powers the precision behind our Cox Automotive AI tools and really is what helps us give a competitive edge to the dealers that use our products.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a great point. And just the scale is unbelievable. The data really is the foundation for all of this. So, what's your advice to dealers who are just starting to explore AI? Where would be a safe place to start?
I would say, stay curious, ask questions. All of the things that we've talked about today are human in the loop, really safe spaces to get started that make your people better and more efficient, create better customer experiences. And I think the way you drive to that is by looking for tools that offer real predictive insights that drive meaningful outcomes for your dealership. Again, I started out by saying that we're very focused on making sure that our AI is leveraged in a way that drives outcomes for dealers. And you want to make sure you're not simply being attracted to flashy AI features that just look nice on your screen. Without that tie to the results and outcomes, AI and insights aren't actually going to do all that much for you. And then the other thing you mentioned is safe space. I think one of the most important things is make sure that you are partnering with a provider who has people like we do at Cox Automotive. We have performance managers who work side by side with our dealers to make sure that the tech is actually delivering results. And I think the comfort of having performance managers who have industry experience, retail experience, they've been through ups and downs and lots of changes in the industry, who know how to sit side by side with our dealer partners and help them navigate change, can be a fundamental game changer.
Stay curious, ask questions, and choose your partner wisely. It's been so great, Tracy, having you with us today. Now, it's a tradition, as you know, because I've asked you to do this before, to close at the episode with our 0 to 60 challenge. So, over the next 60 seconds, we're going to give our viewers a chance to get to know you even better. So, are you ready for the challenge again?
I think so, yes.
All right. Question number one. If you weren't in the car business, I don't know if you can even imagine that, but if you weren't in the car business, what would you be doing?
Well, it's funny. I can't imagine it. There's no place I would rather be than in the car business. So if I wasn't in the car business, I would be retired. You know, I'm getting up there in age. And what I would be doing is volunteering more, spending more time on the beach with my dog, and learning to play the drums.
I like that. If that's retirement, then I'm in as well. Okay. Question number two. Who is or was an important mentor in your career?
So I love this question. I've had the benefit of having a lot of great leaders who have served as mentors, but the best mentors I've had, without naming names, are some peer mentors of mine. You know, I feel like it's so important to have those people that you work side by side with every day, who you trust, who will tell you the truth. And some of my greatest growth has come from some constructive criticism from peer mentors throughout my career.
I love that answer. Okay, last question. What are you listening to right now in your car?
So I'm listening to a book that I read a long time ago. It's called A Curious Mind. It's written in part by Brian Grazer, who's a producer, but it's all about the power of curiosity. And sometimes I feel like I get going so fast in life that I forget to slow down and be curious. That's where all the learning comes from. That's where all the innovation comes from. And so I'm just re-listening to it as a reminder about the power of curiosity.
Mm-hmm. And kind of the theme for a lot of what we talked about today. I want to thank you again, Tracy, and we will see you all next time for In the Driver's Seat.
Thanks, Emma. It was great to be here.
Thanks, Tracy.